Lip reading is a struggle for many people, but I'm going to give you 3 secrets that are going to save you so many marks, and I'm sure you're not doing these. So let's get into the secret number 1, which will drastically improve your reading score. And this starts with task 1. Now, how you can get a hang of this mock test, including more mock tests with answers, I'll tell you right at the end of this tip. As you may know, Task 1 or Part 1 has a few multiple choice questions, and then comes the response letter. Now I want to talk about the response letter because this is where the main problem happens. People give this a lot of time. So again, how much time do you have? For Part 1, you got 10 minutes. Now you would say, okay, we got the first 6 questions, we'll give it half time, and then the remaining questions 7 to 11, we'll give it half time. No. You should give at least 7 to 8 minutes to the first 6 questions, and the response letter, which is the response to the initial letter, should only get a couple of minutes. Why? Because by the end of the first 6 multiple choice questions, you have understood the whole passage. You would have read the whole first letter or email, and you would know what the idea is behind this conversation. Hence, when you go to the response letter, you would have a very good idea of what the other person may respond by saying. For example, the previous letter explained the relation between 2 people. So if I am reading the response, it says, "Dear Charles, firstly, I'd like to express my gratitude for all the details you were able to include in your letter. I must say, Jeremy and you, and now you have these options." Okay, so I know right off the bat, it's something to do with must be friends for at least a decade or must be close. Why? Because when I was initially reading the first letter, there are mentions of how I first met Jeremy in college. We were both studying here, we became acquainted, and then there was the mention of them being roommates. Then there was a mention of them being friends. So that it's obvious, because I have read all of this, I know that I can predict in this part that they must be friends or they must be really close, and those would be the only options I would look at. Now, of course, you can verify this little part because it says must be friends for at least a decade. Things like these where the examiner is trying to confuse you, you can go up and check if it was a decade, and you would find that, okay, it was a period of 5 years. So no, it was not a decade. And then your last remaining option would be that they were very close. That's it, the second option. But again, try not to go up if it is simple. If it's specific, you can go up. However, this one should be done in 2 to 3 minutes. And if you give it too much time, you're sacrificing the time you should have given here, because the first multiple choice questions are where you read the whole passage. Now, let's talk about how you can get access to this mock test, as well as 4 additional mock tests, including other modules as well. It is a completely free offer. All you got to do is comment interested, and I'll reply to your comment telling you how you can get access to the mock tests. It is free of cost, no strings attached. Now let's get into secret number 2. This is where you have the picture. Now it sucks when the picture is this big. You have so many things here. But you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to show you how to answer the question without even looking at the picture. Okay, let's do this. So, hi Gary, I have your itinerary ready as requested. It was a short deadline, but I pulled in some resources last minute who were able to make it happen. I know you're not a huge fan of, and now you have these options. So he's not a huge fan of something. So I would never recommend the something over others due to the frequent tire changes. Let's try to understand it. There are 2 questions in one sentence, so let me try to make it simple for myself. I'm going to paraphrase in my own words, and what is said is that I know you're not a big fan of something, so I would recommend something because over other options because there are frequent tire changes required. Now, let me look at my options: bike, airplane, car, any transport method. Now, any transport method is not specific, so I cannot say frequent tire changes with that, but you could change a tire on a bike, plane, or a car. So those are the 3 options. Now, do we really talk about airplane tire changes? No. So it's not going to be airplane. It's either a bike or a car. So I have narrowed down to 2 options without even looking at the picture. Now, let's look at the first sentence again, first part again. I know you're not a huge fan of, and then it's not going to be flying because we have taken out airplane, and being unruly, you're not a huge fan of being unruly. That even doesn't make sense. You can say you're not a huge fan of traffic or maintenance. And now we have to narrow down which one would it possibly be. And in my opinion, it should be maintenance. Why? Because it's talking about frequent tire changes. That has nothing to do with traffic. So the answer here is maintenance. This is the correct answer. And now your job is simple. All you got to do is pick between bike and car, because those are the options we narrowed it down to. Now, we're going to look at maintenance. Which option requires more maintenance? Because that would be the one that this guy does not prefer. We go up, we look at the table. Here we have to look for words like maintenance or regular checkups or tune-ups, because it cannot be sometimes the exact word. And we are lucky here because it is, in this case, it mentions oil and filter maintenance may be needed. It's not talking about the tires. But when we go down here between the bike and car, remember we're not even looking at the airplane, we see tire replacement needed twice a year, which is a lot. So that would be going for the bike. So the next answer would be bike. And that's it. You see how we did it without even looking at the picture? And that's where you are using the power of prediction and educated guesswork. I don't even want to call it guesswork because it's educated. You are making sure that it makes sense with the sentence and not really looking at every single option and going up and verifying. Okay, so this saves you a ton of time on all 4 tasks, not just task 2. Let's talk about task 3, and this is where the third secret is going to come in, which is very important. Of course, here you are supposed to look at these sentences, 1 to 9 usually, match them with the paragraphs A, B, C, D. Whatever is not mentioned is going to be E, not given. Now remember, all you got to do is look at all the options, answer them, A, B, C, D, whatever the paragraphs are. Whatever is left at the end is simply E. So that's another bonus tip for you. You don't have to look for E. Whatever you cannot answer is E. It must be not given. Now I want you to look at question number 9. Usage applies to a broad range. I'll tell you the answer for this. And again, if you want to practice this before I tell you the answers, comment down below and I'll tell you how you can get the access to these mock tests. But if we jump to the answer, this one is the question that most people get wrong, and that's because they look at the question and then they're looking for the word broad range. Okay, so where is that mentioned? Broad range, and there's nothing about that mentioned at all. The answer was found in paragraph D. Now here it says, the scientific method is used for simple experiments students may do in the classroom or very complex or difficult experiments being done all over the world. There you go. It's done all over the world, mentioned twice, and that obviously means it has a broad range. So the key thing here is not looking at the exact words or phrases, because it's very likely you're not going to find them. What you should be looking at is the concept. So it's a broad range. In your mind, you should think, okay, broad meaning the world, maybe many sectors, many fields, many areas, and that is how you will be able to, your mind will be able to see this and catch this and see the familiarity, go back down and say, okay, yeah, this is 9, this matches. Okay, so make sure you use that technique. Now, if you're watching this video today, July 23rd, and then tomorrow is July 24th, July 25th on Thursday, guys, we're starting our 15 hours of live CELPIP sessions with teacher Daniela. I'm going to put the link of that in the description. You'll see that in the products as well. Register now, and we'll offer you these 15 classes, intensive CELPIP classes. Within 8 days, you'll finish up very quick. And if you watch this video at a later date, we run these programs every time. So check out the links in the description and we'll guarantee you a score of 10 plus or all your money back. Please like, share, and subscribe. And once again, if you want access to the free mock tests, please comment down below. Take care.